So, question number, I don't know, I'll figure it out later, comes from DeusExAnonymus, and he wants to know a whole bunch of things about philosophy. His first question is, what is my background in philosophy? Well, it's not that of a philosophy major. Of course, my bachelor's degree, I double majored in English and psychology, and so I know a lot of psychologists that had, philosophies, and I know a lot of writers that wrote their philosophy into their writings. But I do have a bit of a classical education. DeusExAnonymus wants to know if I read philosophy, and I am reading actually Seneca right now, but not enough. And the people who I consider to be philosophers at times are not enough of a philosophy background, and hopefully by the time I am old, I will have read more. I think my favorite quips and one-liners come from Carl Sagan, as far as something to replace all of the mysticism that I have pretty much purged from my life. His words are about the most spiritual things that I can tolerate, and they work well to, I don't know, soothe the spirit of some people. Am I aware of the branches, and am I aware of the schools of thought? Yes, I am, and I identify most closely with Pyrrhonism and the Skepticoi. He also wants to know if I have some favorite philosophers. Of course, in the past 5 years, becoming more entrenched into skepticism and empiricism, I have grown a fondness for Hume and Locke and Berkeley, and those are the vanilla, bland ones, I guess, that everyone would know about if they were a skeptic. But since my education went a little bit beyond that, as far as me being actually a psychology and English major, I would have to say the works of James Thurber and Saul Bellow, as far as interpersonal relations, kind of ring true to me. I feel like they are really describing really real people with their work. And for me, I read James Thurber's The Catbird Seat at a really young age, and it really changed my life, what direction I was heading. And for Saul Bellow, I would say everyone needs to read Seize the Day, and don't be like that at all. He also wants to know some of my favorite concepts, philosophical concepts. One of them would be the Flying Spaghetti Monster, as far as it being a parody. Also, before that, it was the Invisible Pink Unicorn. But before that, it was Russell's Teapot. And before that, we had what I would call Greyface or Nobodaddy. Greyface would be from, well, anyway, we'll just start with Nobodaddy because it came from William Blake, and for me, It was the first instance of this sort of parody. Now, he had to do it in a way that was more into his work like an art. Like, if you were writing about Greek mythology, he wrote his own mythology, but he made his sort of a parody of Christianity and the Abrahamic religions. And so, looking back at his work from 400 years later-ish, I think we can see now that what he was trying to do was send us like a beacon, like a time capsule, and say, hey, motherfuckers, there was one person way back when that actually got it, you know? And now the things that we're now popularly realizing, we can see we're actually part of culture. Sad that he had to hide it, though. Yeah, but just look up Nobodaddy and the Legend of Greyface, and you'll find out why they link up with Russell's Teapot and the Invisible Pink Unicorn and the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and how it all is basically letting us know that throughout history there has been this feeling. Also, I would say one of my favorite concepts that I've investigated that's a little bit different than most people is I started with Ray Kurzweil's idea of a singularity. Now, the technological singularity, that point where we're going to hit with technology this point where we have advanced so far that technology is going to start advancing itself, and we will not be able to pull the plug anymore. We're just going to get more and more advanced. And I've looked into it in many different forms. Even music. The album Spiritual Machines by Our Lady Peace, to me, is kind of an exploration of that concept. Also, the earliest book that I own that has to do with this would be Erewhon by Samuel Butler. And yeah, I don't really point my camera towards my bookcases anymore because I saw some videos by R.K. Watson, and I started to get the feeling like she wanted us to look at her bookshelf and think that she was smart. And I had the same bookshelf as her, and it was a Walmart bookshelf for $40. You can buy the bookshelf, but it had a whole bunch of books on it, and I was like, wow, she must be smart. There's books. So no, I don't do that anymore. I try to put things behind me that are fun. So you might not have known exactly how much I had read before because I have not been putting my books behind me. But I have in the past put a lot of my books behind me. Here. We'll do this. There's books. More books. Oh, that chair came out of police impound with the Occupy protesters. More books. Plate that I got from Korea with a whole bunch of DVDs behind it, but that plate means a lot to me. It's like wrestlers fighting. There are some books behind that computer right there. And there's more books and more books and more books. So yeah, there's plenty of bookshelves that I could have put behind me, and you know, I could just have some books that I'm flipping through in the beginning of every video and all, but yeah, I just don't feel like wearing my affiliations on my sleeve that much, because I think it's more true to being a skeptic to be open to change if you are in fact given the dimensions of a better, larger idea. So I kind of stay away from just telling people I am from the school of Pyrrhonism and I am never going to accept anything else, because I don't think even a member of that school in Pyrrho's time would have said something like that. You know, Pyrrhonism can never be unproven. Pyrrhonism is proven. That would be a positive assertion, you know. So, yeah. Well, I missed some books up there too, because I got a bookshelf that I built above that closet. But who cares? Thanks for asking your question. Hopefully you have a better understanding of where I'm coming from. Oh yeah, you had one more question. What's my ontological understanding of the self and the other? Does kind of loop back to empiricism in a way. Starting with the Descartesian principle of cogito ergo sum, I believe that ontologically the best way that we know things is through empiricism and much verification and much testing and retesting of things and peer review. And through these tools we can build upon knowledge that we already have in a way that just dwarfs every other form of gathering new information about the world. And I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I feel especially it is true that empiricism trumps any fideism or faith-based assumptions every time. I know that some people think that more comes from a cognitive ontological standpoint, but I think that they work together in tandem, you know, empiricism and cognition. And without empiricism and cognition, you would have fideism and cognition, and that is what I completely tend to reject more and more as I get older. I just reject fideism altogether. So I think that any sort of idea that rests on pillars of faith just can be toppled by another idea that is riding on the tank treads of empiricism. So now I think I've answered all your questions, and hopefully this is under 15 minutes. I hope. Didn't time it.